You're with California 9, KCAL TV. Now, Jerry Dunphy, Shane Velez-Mitchell, Carl Bell's weather, and Gary Cruz on sports. This is Prime 9 News at 8.
3 straight days of rain leads to the worst flooding Southern California has seen in 100 years. A Ventura recreational vehicle park today. 1 person is killed when a giant wall of water comes raging down the Ventura River. The very latest from the deadly flash flood next. In the Ojai Valley community of Miramonte, a man and a pregnant woman were killed when a river of mud slammed into their bedroom, trapping them under 5 feet of mud. The latest on 2 people buried alive next. In the San Fernando Valley, a young man disappears after he falls into the raging Los Angeles River. Up next, the dramatic pictures as a teenager is swept away. In the Antelope Valley, a 5-foot-tall barrier gives way and hundreds of homes are flooded out as residential streets become rivers of mud. A live report from the scene as a desert dam breaks. Plus, you won't believe what's happened to our coastline tonight. Billions, yes, billions of gallons of untreated toxic waste and bacteria has been flushed right into our ocean. A live update as our colossal sewage spill grows. Good evening, I'm Jane Velez-Mitchell.
Hello everyone, I'm Pat Harvey in for Jerry. An incredible day of weather and human drama today in Southern California. And we have a team of 12 reporters on the streets right now to bring it all to you. First, a quick update on the latest headlines from our storm.
The death toll is believed to be rising. It's believed at least 5 now dead from this series of storms. Mayor Bradley has declared an L.A. emergency. Governor Wilson has declared a state of emergency in L.A. and Ventura counties. Flash floods washed motorhomes out to sea. Mudslides have closed freeways and vital canyon roads. And 70 miles of Southland beaches are closed because of a massive sewage overload.
And now to the scene of today's worst flooding, an RV park in the city of Ventura, right near the ocean at the mouth of the Ventura River.
Today, flash floods turned into a death trap. Our Sharon Ito is there now, and she has the very latest. Sharon?
Well, Pat and Jane, a few minutes ago, it started to rain here in Ventura County. 6 or 7 hours ago, I would have been underwater. This mobile home park was flooded, a virtual lake, after the Ventura River gushed from its banks. Well, let's go ahead and take a look around right now. The waters, as you see, have receded, leaving behind a new layer of oozing mud. As you can see there, soaked out RVs are now deserted. Well, this was a flood that left behind not only destruction, but death. A handful of RVs, trailers, and cars were swept away by the raging Ventura River. They were quickly disintegrating, slamming against the waves and a pair of bridges. Residents in the RV park said they had little warning. Within 15 minutes, they say, floodwaters were 5 feet high and rising.
Before we knew it, there was mud, the water, and everything going over the top.
Some managed to wade through the rushing waters. Others were stranded on the tops of their trailers. Only a helicopter assured their safety. Were you able to salvage anything?
Just what I got in my hands.
Everyone at the trailer park got out safely, according to the manager's head count. But scores of other people had no rooftop to scramble to. They were the homeless who slept on the riverbanks. Helicopters rescued some of them.
I was praying to God. I said, God,
Okay.
help me. I'll be a better Christian.
But police fear some of the homeless didn't get out in time. One body was already recovered. Police searched for more today. By mid-afternoon, the floodwaters receded. Residents of the trailer park salvaged what they could before the next storm blew in. But for many, a lifetime of belongings washed out to sea. You can see the force of that flood. Trees were broken in half, and in addition, as you saw, all those RVs going downstream. Well, the search for more victims is expected to resume tomorrow. There were earlier reports that 3 people in this area were killed. Only 1 body has been brought to shore, but they will resume the search tomorrow. Meantime, officers tonight will be patrolling the riverbank so that the homeless people are not stuck on the riverbank. This is a precaution because the storm has begun once again. Reporting live from Ventura County, Sharon Ito, Channel 9 News. Back to you, Jane, Pat.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. You know, it's so ironic is that the folks had gathered there in their RVs because it's a scenic spot.
Absolutely. They certainly didn't expect what happened today, though.
What a nightmare.
Well, also in Ventura County, the day's worst tragedy, a young couple buried alive by a massive mudslide as they slept in their apartment. Our David Goldstein is live in Ventura with details on what happened there. David?
Well, Pat, long before that RV park was flooded, a matter of fact, about 2 or 3 hours before Mother Nature struck early here in Ventura County, the rains caused tremendous mud. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. If we can get down, first of all, you can look at my boots. We were walking in this stuff. Just tons and tons of mud coming down because of this rain. And tragically, 2 people were buried in this mud in a mudslide early this morning, including a woman who was 9 months pregnant. Their lives ended under tons of mud, all of it now covering their ground floor bedroom. 27-year-old Sherry Bouvet and 30-year-old Glenn Queen became the victims of Mother Nature as friends tried desperately to save them.
One of the other guys that lives there and myself dug for probably half an hour before the fire department got there, trying to get to him, and then the fire department dug for another hour or so before they did get to him, and there was nothing that could be done.
It happened shortly before 7 o'clock this morning as the couple was sleeping. The torrential rains caused a mudslide strong enough to uproot this tree. Shelley and Glenn were just buried alive. Glenn's 14-year-old nephew Jason was in a second-floor bedroom. He got out as his friend came to try and help.
I ran up to his door and I knocked on the door and he didn't answer, so I opened it up since it was halfway open. I ran in there and I seen Jason on his knees crying and his hand was sticking. And he said that his uncle and his aunt were under the mud. And I just sat there and started digging. And then at about 7 o'clock this morning, the fire department told us to get out because they were going to start.
The couple was expecting their first child in just a few weeks. Today at work, they were having a baby shower. Ironically, this was their second chance at starting a family.
Tomorrow was going to be the first anniversary of her other child that she lost prematurely. So this was her second chance to have a baby.
Now, for a brief period, building inspectors here in Ventura County closed off that area just to look at the mudslide. They let people go back a couple of hours after the slide, but they're telling everyone here to watch out. As you can see, some of the rains are starting right now. Although it is light, there is more rain expected throughout the week and perhaps more mudslides. I'm David Goldstein reporting live from Ventura County. Let's go back to the studio.
We should brace for the worst. Thank you for that report, David.
New snow in the mountains means avalanche danger. As we first reported earlier on Channel 9, 2 skiers are feared buried alive tonight. That pair, last seen yesterday at the Mount Baldy ski area, where almost 4 feet of snow had fallen since Sunday night. San Bernardino County search and rescue teams scoured the mountain today until darkness. They will resume that search tomorrow. The ski resort was closed because of the avalanche danger. Now, flying in today's stormy weather proved dangerous for a crew of Marines based in Tustin. Their chopper crashed into the ocean, and tonight 1 Marine is missing and presumed dead. The pilot of the CH-46 helicopter reported an engine malfunction off the coast of Oxnard this morning. He made a controlled landing in the ocean. The helicopter flipped over and sank. 8 of the crew members were rescued by the Point Mugu Naval Search and Rescue crews. The Coast Guard, which helped in that search, is now declared a 9th crew member missing at sea.
Well, we found what appeared to be the tail section, or the ramp section of the CH-46 helicopter, which was recovered by our unit and taken back into Channel Islands. And there was no sign of the survival. We searched from approximately 1100 this morning until 6 p.m. tonight, and we called off the search.
And tonight, no one knows for sure if the stormy weather caused that helicopter's engine malfunction. Well, now to a dramatic rescue operation we've been telling you about all day. This started when a teenage boy fell into the LA River and got swept away by the torrent. Rescue teams tried over and over again to save him, but they just couldn't. They got so close at one point. Our Luis Patino joins us live with the very latest. Luis?
Well, just about, I guess 3 hours ago it was, that rescue workers who had been here working all day with very heroic yet fruitful efforts had to pull out their boat, the last effort that they attempted today in trying to find perhaps the body of Adam Paul Bischoff, a 15-year-old who was last seen several miles from here as he actually rode his bicycle into the river. The bicycle separated from him. He tried to grab it and was pulled into the river currents. The day was full of, as I mentioned, heroic, but unfortunately fruitful efforts. It gave Adam Paul Bischoff little chance to defend himself. A normally quiet trickle, the LA River, fed by the floods, was a ferocious, uncompassionate giant. Attempts to save him were failing. In his eyes were desperation. In his image, a gasp for air, for life. Robert Yeager took this exclusive photograph in the last moments he was seen.
He was coming down the middle of the channel, and he was holding on to some wood. And I was on top of the bridge, and we were all yelling, swim to the side, swim to the side. And he was holding onto this wood so tight, and he was screaming, help me, help.
Police say Adam, who was only 15, rode his bike into the river. His bike and he were separated. He tried to grab it, but was instead grasped by the river currents. With each of 3 attempts to pluck him out, frustration grew. In one such attempt, Officer Bub Lukowski almost got dragged in himself as he tried to throw in a garden hose for Adam to grab onto.
And as soon as I got down to the river's edge, I saw him coming down the middle, and we were yelling at him and waving at him, and he was waving at us. And we were hoping that he would get closer to the edge where the pole was, and apparently he couldn't. So I stepped out into the water, and I got about a foot into the water, and it just swept me right off my feet, and he went right by us. That was the last I saw of him.
In fact, it was that officer that was saved by that same garden hose. And you can go and talk to many of the onlookers, many of the rescue workers. All of them will tell you of heroic but fruitless efforts. A sad day here. Reporting live, now back to you.
All right, Luis, thank you. It is a sad day indeed.
What a sad
all
story.
Over the Southland.
All right, well, in just a moment, the Inland Empire and the high desert.
They get socked again with more snow by the storm. We'll have details for you as Storm Watch 92 continues.
Hello, Mike, it's me. Back in town and headed for the border, yeah. Taco Bell. Honey, I got a craving. Why don't you meet me there? Taco Bell. That Taco Bell taste starts at 59 cents. That one and only taste, I gotta run for the border.
Taco Bell can satisfy your breakfast cravings too. Run for the border for breakfast.
Long after you've turned off the engine of the Acura Vigor, it will continue to run through your mind. The Vigor from Acura.
We're here to settle the question. Which radio station gives you more news, KNX or KFWB? We do.
We do.
Ow! Who does more traffic? We do.
We do.
Who does the news 24 hours a day? We do.
I think that's us. All right, I'll talk. We don't do news all the time. We never have. We never will. We do baseball games, football games, cooking.
So when you want news now, turn to KFWB News 98, the only 24-hour news.
Roger Ebert called JFK the best movie of the year. Kevin Costner in an Oliver Stone film.
Is a government worth preserving when it lies to the people?
JFK, rated R.
Also from Warner Brothers, Richard Gere, Kim Basinger. Critics call Final Analysis sizzling, steamy. A first-class hold-on-to-your-seat roller coaster ride. Final Analysis, rated R, now playing.
Today's storm left few areas of the Southern California untouched. Thousands of people in the Antelope Valley also got hit by the flooding quite hard. A small dam burst, sending water cascading down streets and into people's homes. Kerry Berglund is live in Antelope Valley. He's got the latest for us now. Kerry?
Pat, the hardest hit area in all of Antelope Valley was most definitely the Quartz Hill area today, where, as you just said, a small dam was no match for the raging floodwaters. At least 30 homes and scores of businesses were knee-deep in water before it was all over. While it held up, a cracked retaining wall served only to slow down floodwaters as they rushed through low-lying areas in Quartz Hill.
I'm almost giving up, but the water just keeps rising and rising. Thought I could keep it under control with sandbags around the doors, but it's seeping through the walls. It's getting higher and higher.
Sandbagging efforts only slightly delayed the inevitable.
My husband tried to get home a while ago, and he called from over on 45th, and he said he couldn't get to our house. And my sister's a diabetic, and she's coming in from Edwards. We're waiting on her, so we're kind of hyper.
Businesses were closed down, and people urged to evacuate the area.
We warned everyone. We told them that there may be a surge of water coming. Advised them that they should evacuate so that their lives are not in danger. That's one of the things we do want to protect.
The already cracked dike was ready to give way any minute, and when it did, water levels rose dramatically, barreling right through this ambulance garage. What's going to be left when this water goes away?
A nice big mess for the insurance company and for us. We have our people from the station temporarily stationed at a station not far from here, and we're still operating the area. There's no break in emergency services that we're providing for the Antelope Valley residents.
And homeowners continue to fight desperately, if not to stop the waters, then to at least divert them.
How bad is it in there? Inside about a foot. It's climbing up higher.
It's getting worse?
Yeah, the water is. What are you going to do? Well, if it gets any worse, I believe it.
And when the worst was over, the sun came out for a while.
Oh, it's the worst I've ever seen it. I couldn't imagine it could get this way. It's just unbelievable.
Prison inmates were called in to continue sandbagging to keep as much of the water rushing down the streets and not through the homes.